Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It's time to talk about research again, since one of the things that hasn't changed in the next update is really the research in any way, shape or form. The only meaningful roadmap change that we were going to get about research is not coming in, which is of course the bonus towards researching other nations. One of the things that has been true for a while in War Thunder is there is so many vehicles now and so much research to get through, it is daunting to people, which is at least contributing to the fact that people are only really playing one or two nations and also at the same time not really expanding the horizon. So there's a few ways to look at this, right? We've talked about a few in the past. One of them obviously is the skill bonus stuff, which they brought in. Other things are the being able to get bonuses to research other nations. Another one is maybe having a weekly thing or a page of history thing that promotes a specific nation to play instead of specific vehicles. Then also, on top of that, you could add in the system, which, you have for helicopters and ground, where you can research helicopters with ground. Hopefully they add the bonuses to research you get with those two. Unfortunately, they don't carry over to helicopters right now. But stuff like that is also looked at, and then also things such as discounts on vehicles that are the same or even similar in other tech trees. This is the one that I've wanted for a long time. If you decide that you need to add like 50 Leopard 2A4s to the game, which is fine, it's okay if that happens, because pretty much every nation has used or tried or tested the Leopard 2 in some way, then what should happen with those vehicles is if you fully research and spade, so fully modify one of them, it should make the next one you play cheaper to spade, maybe in a different tech tree. Even if it's just 5% or 10%, and every time you do a new one, then it means that the next one is easier. That should become just a rolling thing, and it would be a lot better. It would be a lot more fun. But today we're actually going to look at a suggestion from EVGA, and we actually had a look at it on stream yesterday. I believe it was Papa Stalin who linked it. It might have been somebody else, so I apologize. But the idea is researching across tech trees in one nation. So basically the idea is if you are researching vehicles in a specific tech tree, once you finish that tech tree of that nation, it then opens up the other tech trees to be able to be researched with those vehicles. So for example, let's say you're playing Britain and you complete the naval tech tree or the naval blue water tech tree. This means if you have everything researched, you would be able to pick where your research goes if you want to put it into a different tech tree of that nation. So if you finish the blue water one, maybe you want to research the aviation one to go alongside of it. And now obviously there would still be the same barriers that we've seen previously. So for example, the rank barrier and also premium stuff, and maybe you could even change percentages of the research to them. But there's always been this idea of when you finish the tech tree, obviously your research doesn't really go anywhere unless you're in ground and you can feed it into helicopters. But the idea with this, or the idea that people have talked about before, is your research goes into a pool, and then when another vehicle gets added to that tech tree, you can then plonk the research into that vehicle from the pool. This idea, though, keeps it more standard, keeps it more linear, where instead of you being able to kind of stock up on RP, you would have to spend it straight away on new tech trees which are in the same nation. And I honestly think this is just a really good idea. With the expansion of ground being able to research helicopters, and hopefully at some point, blue water being able to research coastal, and also the opposite way around too, it's opened up a lot of opportunities to kind of think about how research can work. Because we do have a problem, right? There is a problem in War Thunder now, and it's that it's impossible to be able to research everything. And that is kind of one of those things that's insurmountable. When you think about stuff like MMOs, one of the key things for them is there's always something new to be able to get hold of. But the problem now in War Thunder is there's a lot of new stuff to get a hold of, but a lot of it is the same as what we've seen before. So for example, with the Benelux tech tree coming in, there are some vehicles in there which are unique, They are unique up to a point, but they are still unique. Stuff like the Mirage 5BA, and then also stuff like the F-104, which is slightly different, and things like the F-16AM. But we're talking about slight differences here. If we have a think about something like World of Warcraft, or even like Genshin Impact, which is more of a newer one, or other games of that type, grinding out the same thing over and over and over again is something that you can do, but I don't think exists on the scale of War Thunder on how much you have to do it. So for example, if you grind through the American aviation tree and get access to the F-16, and then you decide to grind through the Italian tech tree to get the F-16 there, and then the French tech tree to get the F-16 there in the next update, and also the Israeli tree to get its F-16, are you getting a massively different experience? Now, with something like World of Warcraft or other things, you would have raids, which would turn up every so often. You would have a percentage chance of a specific thing dropping. And if you got unlucky, or if the percentage chance was really low, you would have to do those raids over and over and over again. And some of them were only available at certain times of the month. And obviously that is a real issue. But with War Thunder, everything's available all the time. But the problem is we're getting to a point where a lot of it is the same. So we need to come up with some kind of solution to this. Otherwise, you're going to see the same problem coming around over and over and over again, which is people not being happy with new content because it's the same as what we've seen previously. And also, at the same time, not being happy with the fact that it's not going to their nation, because they're stuck playing one or two nations because they don't have time to be able to research a bunch of nations. I understand that for me, the way that I'm able to play the game and also approach the game is very different to many, and I'm in a position where I can play a lot more than most people can. And it makes me sad that there are so many people who enjoy War Thunder, who would like to get access to more stuff, or at least get access to new experiences, and they can't because of how the game is set up right now. And I'm hoping that in the future they start adding more research techniques, not just reducing RP, okay? Not just reducing RP, because RP in War Thunder is one of those things which is reduced on a linear scale. So right now, with the new update coming in, it's going to be harder to research all of the vehicles in total than it was before. And then what they'll do is they'll do a bunch of RP reductions, which everybody will rejoice on. They'll change rewards around the place, and it'll be the same as it was previously, because they're happy with that number that people have to research. And that's fine. If they want to, if people are okay with that and everything goes around and everything's good, that's okay. But it's not improving the system, it's keeping the system the same. And now that we've had a taste of newer stuff, with the skill bonuses set up, and also with the being able to grind helicopters with ground vehicles, it's now time to add in other systems which mean that you have a little bit of cross-pollination. Whether it is, Blue Water being able to research coastal, or vice versa, or whether it is the idea of when you finish a tech tree, you are able to research other tech trees with those vehicles that you have in that one for the same nation, which I like the idea of. We really need to have another rethink about this. There is more than 2,000 vehicles in this game right now, and if you have a look at the average player, they'll be lucky to get through 10 or 20% of them. And that just makes me sad, because there's so many vehicles that have had so much work put into them. When it comes to the modeling, when it comes to obviously the FMs, the DMs, when it comes to how they work, all of the different stuff, and hardly anybody will ever see them. That really sucks, and I just want people to have access to more things to have fun with them. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.